Hi, this is Alex. We're at the New York Library and we're gonna talk to Tina. Hi, Tina.
Hi, how are you?
Good, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So, Tina has an upcoming magazine and hopefully it's gonna be a big thing, right?
It's gonna be huge.
Yeah,
it's gonna
great.
be huge.
How
yeah.
did it all start? How did you get to this point in life?
Well, I started as a makeup artist about 20 years ago, and I was married to a musician. I used to do his makeup all the time. When I was working in cosmetics, I was working with Tony and Tina, which was all glitters and like very rock and roll, very funky. I got asked to do fashion shows a lot. There was a really cool club in LA called Club Makeup. And they did a fashion show, and they had Twiggy from Marilyn Manson, Eric from Hole, and I did their makeup. And I don't know, I really loved the whole like rock and roll and fashion, and I loved the idea of glitter on guys and, you know, makeup on guys. So from there, my husband and I moved to New Orleans, and I decided to open up my own makeup boutique.
Wow.
With like all glitters and vintage clothing and stuff like that. So that's where it kind of all started. I met a lot of people there. I got in a few magazines, but it wasn't really the whole rock and roll scene that I was looking for. So I actually, and by doing this also, by working with these other cosmetic lines, I realized that I could do the same thing they're doing, only better, you know, and have my own company doing it. So I moved to Europe, actually, with my husband. And
where to?
We moved to France first. He's French. And I got a job opening up the first MAC boutique in Bath, England. So we moved to England. And that's where I kind of got the experience from, you know, being a manager for MAC. I learned how to run a business, what sells, what doesn't sell. But still, even though it was MAC, it was still just a little too low key for what I wanted. And so we ended up moving to Greece. We stayed in Greece for a while.
Wow.
Yes, my husband hated the cold weather of England. So we moved to Greece went to Corfu. And that was just kind of a chill because there's not really,
I know.
You know, it's kind of like, okay, we're gonna chill here for a bit and decide what's gonna happen. In the meantime, he went on tour. So my son and I were just kind of hanging out in Greece for a while. And then we moved to Brussels because my husband was working in Belgium and France a lot. And then we split up because just, you know, great differences. And my son and I moved back to the States, to LA. And that's where I got the idea that, you know what, I am going to start my own cosmetic line because, you know,
the time has come.
The time has come. Glitter, you know, Tony and Tina were gone. The best glitter makeup was gone. A lot of companies were kind of disappearing. It was kind of a time of people being more like they wanted something. Club Makeup closed down. Like all this stuff had just gone very like beige, that's what I call it. Like everything just kind of went beige, there's no color anymore. And so I started it, and I wanted it to be very rock and roll. And so the names are like after Bowie, T-Rex, you know, the White Stripes, they're all named after musicians. So I started out with using girl bands and only girl musicians. But then I started using guy musicians. And I realized it's so much more fun to do it on these guys. And when you do the glitter on these guys, these beautiful like androgynous guys, and you put the glitter thing, it's like there's nothing like it after you see, you know, the process done. It's like, wow. So I decided I only want to use guys now, strictly guys. My son is an actor and a musician. He's one of my models. And I just started using, you know, like only musicians. Through him, I met other musicians. And then I was like, it wasn't enough. And it was like, I either start a male modeling agency or I do something else kind of fashion-y. And I was like, a men's rock and roll fashion magazine. There's nothing like it out there. We've got NME for just, looking to see what bands, which is how I discover bands. NME is a great magazine. That's how I discover all my bands. Or you have like a Vogue or a GQ, for fashion. But you don't have a rock and roll men's fashion magazine. So this is going to be, there'll be like 6 bands or musicians. They'll have 6-page editorials. They'll have an interview. We'll decide who goes on the cover, depending on, you never know until you're done. We're looking at some really good bands right now that we're in negotiations with. And then we're going to interview like record labels, producers, guitar makers, anything to do with rock and roll, but it's all for men. So, we have so many magazines that we can go to, for fashion or for anything really, what makeup to look at or what, where to go out or whatever. Men have nothing that are rock and roll. Mm-hmm. They just don't, and now they will. So it's like the go-to for everything, and it's only men musicians.
So it's going to be every month?
It's going to be, I'm not sure if it's going to be bi-monthly or if it's going to be twice a year. Mm-hmm. I haven't decided that yet. It's a lot of work's being put into it, so it just kind of depends, and I'm doing it all on, well, my son and my daughter are helping me. My daughter's a writer. My son is a musician, like I said, an actor. They're helping me. Otherwise, I would lose my mind. So it just kind of depends. I have a lot of really great people coming on board and helping. Amazing photographers, amazing stylists, and we're gonna actually launch it in Manchester, England in September. Fingers crossed, this is what we're going for if all goes well.